I now played over 40 hours of Hogwarts Legacy and wish I had done some things differently. So I want to talk about those mistakes so you don't have to make them yourself. Like going into activities prepared, buying things earlier than I did, doing quests that I've skipped for way too long, and way more. Of course, if you are enjoying Hogwarts Legacy and like the content here on the channel, then leave that like. That would really help us out. Subscribe for way more spoiler-free tips and tricks like this, and let's go. One thing I only started paying attention to later on was how to properly use the map. You might already know about the fact that you can use the right and left D-pad buttons to switch between the Hogsmeade world map and Hogwarts map instead of moving your cursor, which is very convenient. But it never really zoomed out all the way to get a better look at the Highlands. This is, I think, the only way to see the level of the enemies that can appear in each region. So the enemies scale to your level, but they cannot go higher or lower than the region level. So for example, here I'm level 35 in a region where the max level for the enemies is 30. So then the enemies stay at 30. While if you are level 18 in an area for level 20 to 40, then the enemies will be at 20, because that's the closest they can get to you on level 18. Now in true open world fashion, if we zoom out, we also see the different activities and collectibles you find in each zone. This is especially handy later on when you try to complete the field guide, as many of the challenges that you need to complete are linked to the many white dots on the map. Now there's one thing in particular very handy about the legend, and that's the ability to see the demiguise statues. These are needed to upgrade your lockpick level after getting the Alohomora spell. You get this after doing a main mission that becomes available when it turns fall in your game, and during this quest you already get 3 of these statues. But after that you're kinda thrown in the deep end, while you need 6 more of these statues to get to rank 2. So I was like looking around Hogwarts to find more of these statues, but I could not really find them, so I put this quest to the side. But that is not smart at all, because they will come across many level 2 and 3 doors that you can't open, meaning that you will lose out on a ton of loot. And finding these demiguise statues is also way easier than I first thought, because they're mostly hidden in the open world instead of Hogwarts, and you can very easily find them by looking at the villages on the map. Here it will be noted if you already have the demiguise in that village or not. If that's not the case, they can just easily search every house and eventually find them. Now, of course, it has to be night for this, and I also learned this way too late, but there is a trick to switch the day and night cycle. Just go to the map menu and then press the wait button. This lets you switch from day to night or night to day. You can only do it though outside of combat, so if the feature is not available, then there's probably an enemy nearby, so you have to take that out first before you can do the wait feature again. So I looked in each village for the demiguise statues, especially the ones close to Hogwarts, as they can already be reached when you only have lockpick level 1. Took me around to 10 to 15 minutes to get the necessary demiguise statues to increase my lockpick level to 2, which lets me open way more doors. I will also leave a link to a very good guide from PowerPix with all the locations for these statues, so you can easily upgrade Alohomora yourself and open every door that you come across as soon as possible. These rooms with locked doors can also contain chests with guaranteed legendary gear, but these are mostly unidentified when you open them, so then you of course have to bring them to the room of requirements before you can use the item. Do this as soon as possible. Like, I thought I was smart and saved them all up so I could identify them all at once and get them on my current level, but that's not how it works. The level of unidentified gear is namely determined when you open the chest and not when you identify it. So waiting too long will mean that the item becomes useless, as you will likely already be a higher level. Another important thing is preparation before main missions. As you might have noticed, these can be very self-contained, take place in linear dungeons. Like the moment you start them, you can't go back or you'll have to completely reset them, so start from the beginning. I already made some good progress in a mission once and then noticed that my inventory was full just before entering a dungeon, where you of course get a ton of new loot that you can then sell. So make it a habit to equip the best possible items, as noted with the green arrow, and then sell the rest at a vendor before you start the next quest, so you don't have to destroy gear in your inventory to make room for potential better items. Like, When you destroy gear, you're basically throwing money away. There is, by the way, a shop where you can sell your gear for more money, although you have to be on PlayStation for this. I tell you about that and way more things you want to unlock early in a previous video that I will leave a link to in the video description. Also, make sure that you have enough potions before you start a new quest, especially later main missions and the arenas that you can find in the open world, like over here for example, will throw a ton of enemies at you and then you will be forced to complete it with the amount of potions you currently have on you. Or otherwise, you have to completely restart the quest. Like, not needed to have the maximum of 25, but at least 10 for these later missions is really helpful. And don't need to spend your hard-earned money on it in the vendor at Hogsmeade. No, you want to make these yourself. So for this, you have to unlock your room of requirement, which eventually happens by following the main story. For this main quest, you will have to put down small pots, where you can make 5 Dittany leaves every 10 in-game minutes. And only one of this herb is required for a potion next to the Hork Lump Juice, that if you just keep an eye out in caves or other underground areas, should not be that hard to get. You can also buy them at Pippin's Potions, which is still cheaper than buying the potion outright, but it's not needed in my experience. So just make sure that your potion stations work overtime before you go on a big quest. And let's stay in the room of requirements, because you can make a ton of mistakes here. One of them is not buying some important stations as soon as possible. With one of my favorite ones being the hopping pot, which will just be hopping around in your room and make a random potion every 12 minutes without needing any ingredients. So this can be the regular Wiggenweld potion, but also the more unique ones. Now, it does seem that you need to have the recipe unlocked for particular potions before they can actually show up, so it's smart to get them at the potion shop, which also lets you make them at regular potion stations. But yeah, it's probably not needed if you buy these hopping potion stations early on. If you then come back to your room often, you will be swimming in these potions before you know it. Like, I now figured out that 12 is the max you can carry of these special potions. So yeah, then I just like drink it so I can still grab it from the pot, so they can maybe make a new one that I don't have yet. Now, this hopping pot spellcraft is 3000 gold, which is quite a lot, but if you just follow my money making video, then you will have 10,000 gold in 10 minutes, so you can easily buy this and other room upgrades I want to mention right now. Like, another mistake I made is not looking at the number of stations you can put down. For this hopping pot maker, you can for example have 3 of them at the same time, so no reason to not do that. There's also a max for other things like your plants. You can have 7 potting tables in total, which counts both the small, medium and large pots. And as you might know, there are multiple versions for these stations. Like, you can have a small potting table for 1 plant, for 3 or for 5, but they both count as 1 out of 7 for your budget. So you only want to be using the biggest potting tables possible. If you got the 5 small pots, they can just remove the potting tables with 1 pot, as they both count towards your budget of 7 tables. This also means that spending money on the potting table where you can make 3 pots is a complete waste, because you will eventually change it for the potting table with 5 pots anyways, and then never use the potting table with 3 pots again. So even if you can't afford the largest table yet, don't buy the middle option, because in the end you will like exchange it for the bigger one anyways. I thought it was handy to show you my scroll store. Like, I got everything that is useful, but I did not buy the potting table with 1 medium pot, 2 medium pots, as there's one with 3, and I also did not buy the small potting table with 3 pots. Now, to put things in the room of requirements, you will need moonstones. You can of course remove some decorations that you don't need, which will also give you these crystals, but smarter is to buy the material refiner as soon as possible. These will create 10 moonstones every 10 minutes, and you can also put down 3 of them. So I actually did do this from the moment I was able to, and now got 999 moonstones, which is the maximum. I can still pick them up, but yeah, that's of course not necessary. You can also skip the stones that you see in the world, which will save you some time. No need to destroy them. Subscribe for way more spoiler-free Hogwarts Legacy tips and tricks if you haven't already. Got way more fun and helpful videos coming your way and already up on the channel. A like on the video would really help me out, and check one of those previous videos on the amazing things you want to get early for if you haven't watched it yet by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.